Let's give some tzedakah, especially these days. We just entered the period of the 3 weeks, the 3 weeks between the fast of yesterday, Shivasa B'Tammuz, and hopefully the feast of Tisha B'Av, hopefully the Yom Tov of Tisha B'Av. As it says, these days will be transformed into days of rejoicing. So, as the pasuk says, Tzion b'mishpat tipodeh v'shoveo b'tzedakah. Zion will be redeemed by law, and her returnees by charity. So this is a good moment to give extra charity, and let's do so, obviously together with the tefillah prayer for our soldiers, for our hostages. They should all be returned. Shover. This is what we're talking about. They should all the captures should all be returned. Returned to Eretz Yisrael, returned to our homeland, but in a full manner, with Mashiach in the Beis HaMikdash. A very interesting dialogue between God and the prophet Yecheskel, Ezekiel. Ezekiel was known as the prophet of the third Beit HaMikdash, where God actually showed him, I guess in 3D, the Beis HaMikdash, the third Beis HaMikdash. Maybe that's a connection, 3D with the third Beis HaMikdash. And that's what the Medrash says regarding this conversation. When God showed the image of the Beis HaMikdash to Yecheskel, to the prophet, what does God tell him? He says, Hageh das Beis Yisrael. Tell the Jewish people, excuse me, Hageh das Beis Yisrael es habayis, v'yikolmu v'avanesehem, u'madadu es tachlis. Tell him about the third Beis HaMikdash. Tell him about the measurements. Amar Yecheskel v'nei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yecheskel, the prophet, says to God, Rebbeinu Shalom, the master of the universe, Adach shavanu nesunim b'goylo b'eretz onenu. We are in exile, in the land of our enemies. And you're telling me to go to the Jewish people and tell them the image of the Beis HaMikdash? Are they capable of doing that? How can they think of the third Beis HaMikdash when they are so stooped into exile? Let him come out of exile, and then I will tell him. So it says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Yecheskel, Ubishvil shebonai nesuni bagoyla, hier binyan beisi bater. Is the construction of the Beis HaMikdash to be ignored because they are in exile? And God continues, Godol kriyasa b'torah kebinyana. Studying about it, imagining it, discussing about it, is to me equal to its construction. It's as great as its construction. Go tell them, says God. They should get preoccupied with reading, learning the structure, the Beis HaMikdash, what it looked like. In the merit of the fact that they're studying it, I will consider it as if they're building the Beis HaMikdash. An interesting perspective. Yecheskel says, while we're in exile, can we think of redemption? When we're in exile, it's bitter, it's difficult. We're focusing on exile. We're focusing on our difficulties. And we're praying for coming out of it. But our headspace, our mindset is one of galus, exile. Says God, no, change your perspective. I know you're in exile. I'm quite aware of it. But you can change your perspective by focusing on the Beis HaMikdash. Not only, explains the Rebbe, will this be considered as if you're building it? You are building it. You are taking yourself out of exile. You're creating an environment of redemption. You're creating an aura, a lifestyle of redemption. And this hastens and makes it happen. So these days, says the Rebbe, we should not just lament our challenges, our difficulties, our exile, our tzaras. Yes, indeed we have. But let's go above. As some like to say, let's take the high road. What's the high road? Let's focus on the good. Let's focus on the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash by studying it. And we will merit it right now.